Um,
We're live.
Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 12, Sofi Weekly. I'm here with Tannor, Tevis, and Dividend Streams, also known as Steven. He is back on the pod with us this weekend. Riley couldn't make it. He's feeling a little under the weather, so it's us for this week. A lot to talk about. Obviously, Noto has bought 1 million freaking shares, 1.132 to be exact. A $5 million buy this happened on Monday, I think, so it was a nice little surprise on Monday around 4 or 5 p.m. And we're going to analyze that. We're going to analyze some new products, analyze buy now, pay later, and some stuff by Galileo. So first of all, let's go around. How is everybody? Steven, how are you?
No, everything I buy goes down, so great.
Looking at your portfolio today is not exciting. Tanner,
The
how are
only
you?
good thing is I got dividends rolling in.
That is true.
Streams for sure. No, I'm great. Currently away from my studio, so I have a little bit of a janky setup. I couldn't get the camera working. I got this weird audio setup, but hopefully I sound okay. But doing really, really well. Yeah.
Okay, Tevis, how are you?
Yeah, same with me, man. Another week. Closer to the end of the year. We're probably seeing a lot of tax loss harvesting in the market right now, but I don't know how else I can just justify every day we're going down. Also, are we actually on episode 12?
Yeah, last week was episode 11.
Jeez. That goes fast.
Yeah, but yeah, wow. It's on Palantir, we're like episode 43. It's like, it's crazy. It just happens so long. All right, so Noto, our boy, our guy, has not bought since June. He was doing really small little 12, 13, 14, 15,000 purchases. Nothing extravagant, but it made people excited as he was DCing from 9 to 6. Then he just stopped, and then he started purchasing at $4.30. Let's start off with you, Steven. What was your initial reaction to seeing that buy, and how do you kind of analyze it?
Anybody who takes as on anything but bullish is crazy. I mean, you want your directors and your senior leadership to purchase shares. It's very bullish. I mean, the guy increased his shares by 29% or so. And sure, Tannor has a chart on everything, but you look at how many shares he's purchased. This guy has put over $8.8 million of his own capital into the stock. So it's big, very bullish, very happy about it. But you know what? Just because he's buying doesn't mean it's going to go up. So everybody should remember that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I do have a chart for that, and I want to show it off. I got the numbers ready and they're updated and everything like this. So actually, why don't I just jump right into that? Yeah, I saw someone on Seeking Alpha. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Stone Fox or whatever their name is. Hopefully I'm, quoting that right. But he said something along the lines, which I thought was great, which there's countless, reasons to sell a stock if you're an insider. Plenty of different ways. It's really hard to read into that. But there's only one reason to buy, right? It's because you believe that stock's going to go up into the future. And I just love that reason. Whenever you see a large purchase like this, I mean, you can't help but get excited. Let me go ahead and throw up this sheet right here, and we can take a look.
Okay, so here we go.
Oh, let me scroll down a little bit, or maybe I can zoom out, whatever works best here. But pretty much these are all of his purchases. I started to, whenever you're looking at March and in May there, obviously those weren't one-time purchases. I just sort of conglomerated them for the single image. And then he was doing, constant buys in June, and then we didn't see anything for 6 months. And now we're seeing massive purchases in a couple of days, purchases that were bigger than, single months that he's been purchasing. Right.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just, before you go on, can we just have a public thank you to Greta Traderberg for just triggering Noto hard enough that he just starts buying again?
Well, let's not forget he got a pretty nice payout from Twitter. So
yeah, that too.
He's saving up quite a big amount of capital.
Yeah, I mean, are we sure that he sold? Because there was the option that Elon Musk said where you could roll over the shares into the private side of Twitter.
I don't think Noto is confident in Elon Musk at all, to be honest.
I did not know that, so I take that statement back. He may have done that.
So, and then I also don't know if there is a partial sale that's allowed. Maybe you can sell half, roll half over, because if that's the case, he was holding on to 124 million. But as you can see, Noto is quite the dollar cost averager, right? He will buy over a long period of time. So it's not uncommon for us to see him buy 3 times in 4 days. What's going to happen for the next month or next couple of months as we go into the next quarter, while this whole student loan debacle is in, making our stock really cheap? He could be continuously buying if he does have access to, $100 and something million. If it was a partial sale, maybe he put it all in right now, or this was maybe from something else. I don't know his personal life. I don't know about his other investments. He's definitely made a buttload of cash during his Goldman Sachs days and everything like this. Just for anyone that wants a little bit of a background, I think he made $75 million on a single deal, closing a private deal that I found on his wiki or whatever. So he's definitely seen some heavy payouts. Let me go back to this chart really quick, just so it doesn't have to stay up on the screen. This is Noto's total value, 23.6 million. That's as of today's price on the stock. That's not just all the stock that he's purchased today, or even that he's purchased with his own money. That's all together. That's all the shares that he has under his name. How much he bought recently, that's in bold, is 5 million, and like Steven said, it was an increase of 28%, almost 29% of his total holdings. Absolutely crazy. So anything else before we drop that out?
Yeah, if you just look at 2022, he's made 18 purchases in 2022 alone. He has, if I tallied everything up correctly, 1.61 million shares he's purchased in 2022. He spent 8.3 million.
Yeah, crazy.
Tevis, what were your thoughts? I don't think you said anything yet about it.
Think about your portfolios, guys, and think about one day increasing 29% of your holding like that. That's a huge buy. Just relative to that total sizing, that's the part that I found super interesting, is that he was buying pretty much like every week from the beginning of the year all the way until June. And then the velocity with which he bought this many shares in just 3 days or 4 days, he increased it by almost 30%. That was something really interesting. The other point that that I found, actually we can circle back to it, but for right now, I think that's the main thing that I found that was interesting, is like how much he bought relative to the total sizing, how quickly he did that, especially after being on a 6-month hiatus.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like it definitely shows that he probably did get a lump of cash because of the Twitter deal, because he didn't make, a single purchase in 6 months. But maybe he was also waiting for clarity on, what's going to happen with student loans or whatever. Or maybe he just saw a great opportunity at such a low price. We're looking at below book value, extremely close to tangible book value. I don't know. Maybe he just wants a good deal. I don't think there has to be a big catalyst,
Well, think about
Anyway,
it.
I'm gonna
He
drop
was
this.
purchasing shares at 973. He purchased shares at 785, at 650. He's
Yeah.
purchased shares the whole way down. And under $5, you would think that he took the opportunity to dollar cost average even further into it. And I don't know the guy, but you got to think that he's not going to put that type of capital to work if he really doesn't believe that the share price is going to turn. I mean, he didn't get to the point he's at by making critical decisions incorrectly.
I also, we can pivot to this as well, but I also found the timing interesting, in particular to what's been going on with SoFi with regards to the options release. And then, the Form 4 came out, I think, on Tuesday after the market closed. And then the next day, Buy Now, Pay Later, or Pay in 4 was released. And the first thought that I had, obviously, was with regards to what I just said, the size, but also I was thinking about, and I'd love to bring it to the group, whether there is some type of MNPI implications here. I mean, I know he's buying on the open market, but there is a lot of launches that SoFi has been really looking forward to. And I found it funny. Just Form 4s came out. He bought a couple of days before the Pay in 4 comes out, before the end of the year. So, I don't know if there's any point to be mentioned there.
I think honestly, I think they're such tiny products. I think Galileo's product is big. I don't know if SoFi's Pay in 4 product will be, nearly as big. I think there's a lot of products that get launched on SoFi that get no coverage at all. Like I'm pretty sure SoFi they started doing same day personal loan funding. That is massive. For our biggest product to get a twice the speed on the availability to capital, like that's going to lead a lot of new growth. And that happened this quarter. I think there's a lot of things like that, like small tweaks to existing products that get no love because there's not this big announcement, right? They're just tweaking, but they are big tweaks. And who knows? It could have been that. It could have seen a large amount of increases because maybe they're seeing great personal loan growth, which I'm sure is the case.
So before we get into the buy now, pay for stuff, I want to pose this question to everybody. Do we think there's still a chance of a reverse split? Because obviously, if a reverse split were to happen, we would drop another 20%. That just happens across the board, even though it doesn't really affect the fundamentals of the company. So Noto would be kind of dumb, right, for buying at $4 when theoretically the price would go down to, let's say, $30 if we have a 10-for-1 reverse split and it goes down $10 from 40 to 30. So do you think that he's very confident that there's just not going to be a need for that, and that's why he purchased now? Because it's a big buy.
Yeah, I mean, reverse split, I think they're two separate things. Like, it's a board decision, number one, and then Noto has been buying at like $9, $10, $7, $8, $4, $5, $6. Like, he's just DCAing, and I don't think that he's going to be, playing the game theory in his head to say, oh, well, the psychology of reverse splits, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't think that's a factor in the slightest.
But it's not game theory. It's if there's a reverse split, the stock will tank. That's going to happen.
Can we all agree that Noto's not buying for the short term? He's not buying to sell in 2 weeks from now or a month.
Yes. But if there's a reverse split, he could get his shares at $3 versus $4, which is substantially different.
Hold on.
It's $1.
If we can agree that he's not buying for the short term, a reverse split doesn't matter because maybe it goes down after reverse split, maybe it doesn't. Okay.
No, it is. No, Steven, it is. There's no way. You think this market's not going to tank at 20% after a reverse split?
Maybe it will. We'll see after it happens, if it happens. But at the end of the day, it changes nothing. The market cap's still going to be the same. Upon the reverse split, the market cap is the same. You have less shares, but you own the same percentage. Your shares represent the same percentage of the company as it previously did.
That's fine, but you've been in here long enough to know when the reverse split happens, the market tanks the stock. So why would he buy it if he knows he can get it for $1 cheaper? Like if SoFi declines naturally down to $2-3 over the next couple months, it's whatever. But if you do a RS, it's gonna happen. And if he knows there's an RS, why would he buy his shares for $1, $2 above what it could be in the next 2 months?
But he also
it just makes you think.
But he doesn't know where the share price is going to be next week or the week after.
Right.
And he doesn't know where it's going to be after the next quarter's earnings. Q4 earnings are going to be probably February 1st or so. Reverse split, if it happens, it can happen in the spring. They have until July to do it. So I don't think it matters.
Yeah, when is the due date? That's something I wanted to look into. But
when they authorized it, it was authorized for a year. So whenever that shareholder vote was, it was June or July.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering if anyone had that date. So if it was around then okay, we still have a little bit of time.
I mean, do I want it to happen? No. In a perfect world, I'd rather endure 3 years of pain and have them start generating earnings and start buying back shares down the road instead of doing a reverse split. I'm in this for the long haul, so I'll take single-digit prices for years and years to come out the other side. I don't care, but not my decision.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I don't care either way. Like I know it might dip down in the short term, and maybe his purchases show that's not going to happen in the short term. But also, the Fed could come out and smoke the market, and then they might be forced into a reverse split before. He can't predict the future, even with it. The reverse split that he controls. So
everybody has to be ready for this to go down. Like this could go to $3. Anybody who thinks, oh, it can't, I didn't think it was going under 10 and it did. So look, this can go further. You look at other companies, look at PayPal. Look how much PayPal has gone down. That's not a profitless tech company. They're down 72% or so. So
Steven, I mean, you can promote your article at the end of the podcast.
it's especially like that. That's why I used it. Look, okay, Meta. Look at Meta, how much Meta's down. Not a profitless tech company. So if I can go down further, I think everybody just has to take it in strides and don't invest if you don't believe in the company. It's as simple as that.
I put Steven's new article in the chat. Everyone should go check it out. A nice read on PayPal.
Oh, thank you.
Buy now, pay later. Steven, are you excited for us launching this product?
Anything's better than nothing, but I don't really know much about the buy now, pay later space. So to me, it changes nothing.
You seem hesitant. You seem negative towards it.
Because I know a lot of people are interested in and think it's going to be some really big thing. It's not part of the suite of products that I'm really focused on, but anything that will make the membership happy and provide additional value to them, I'm all for it.
Yeah. What was weird whenever they actually released their article was the limitations and on what you can actually use with their buy now, pay later product. So right now it's stopped at certain types of stores. Like I don't think you can go to a coffee shop no matter how much you spend and use buy now, pay later. But there are certain, clothing stores or department stores and everything like this that you're allowed to use it at. But between $50 to $500, which is such a weird range considering like big purchases for me that I think are very common are stuff like smartphones and stuff that doesn't even really fit into, which I kind of find is weird. Like even if it was 50 to 1,000, I'd find so many more use cases for this. But 500 is just in this weird, sort of space.
There's a cap on it?
Yeah, 500. So
doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose when you do buy now, pay later for like a computer or equipment for a studio or something like that?
Yep.
That is weird. I would agree with that.
I wonder if that's a part of the early release because they're going to be expanding this in phases. So, I mean, I think no grocery stores, no restaurants, bars, gas stations, like all of these restrictions and also, the money aspect of it, like that could just be them offering like really small loans to start with and then expanding out as they see fit.
Right. And like that could be like any other credit relationship with some sort of new business, right? They've never released this, this is a MasterCard created business that they're offering to select providers. Galileo and Sofi were one of the first people to actually offer this and actually end up putting it out. So who knows? We might have no data on this market. I mean, we can look at a firm and we can look at all these things, but it is a different product. It's not quite the same, relationship that we have with our consumers to what we have with the merchants. It's completely different. So I think they're starting very small because it is zero APY. It's like we're taking all the risk with very little reward, all to start with. Might as well put it in this very small space. But I bet you that expands.
Is there a limit on credit score?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, they said they didn't have in their article here, their blog post when they announced it, they didn't have a hard number on the credit score. They mentioned that credit score was going to be a soft credit check was going to be one of the things that they check, as well as high threshold risk requirements and maintaining a qualifying direct deposit to SoFi checking and savings accounts. Those are the eligibility requirements.
Okay, so at least it's for direct deposit customers.
Right.
Yeah, it's 4 payments. You make the first payment right up front, and then you're on the hook for the other 3 every 2 weeks. So it's a 6-week payback.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, I think for the consumer, this is an amazing product. I mean, once they open up the limits a little bit more, it's a 0%, like interest rate that they're offering you. You might as well take it and keep the 2% or the 3.5% interest in your savings account before that payment comes out. It will be used by a lot of users. I think people will absolutely use this and use it very, very quickly.
from that aspect, they could be looking at this as a way to grow deposits and
Sure.
really hook into that business.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And now I've had some pushback on this topic because maybe people think that it will be taken a different way. I mean, you'll have to see Bender 9000 or Chris Haggard to actually see their opinions on this because they are, they have their own opinions. But they like to compare it to, what's the annual rate that we're going to be seeming back from this, because it is a loan, so we have to look at it like a loan product. And from then, if anyone's seen the articles, what they had predicted is that we'll probably be making on an annual rate of around 17% on the money that we lend out and buy now, pay later because of the transaction fees. The thing that I have weird about that, and I feel bad for talking about this because they're not on the podcast, but obviously we'll have Chris on another time and, we can discuss this, but I don't understand, annualizing it out if someone could just use a loan for 6 weeks and then stop. Like, I don't think it makes any sense to assume that they're going to re-up every 6 weeks. You know what I mean? To take this sort of transaction and annualize it. Then you could do that with any transaction at all. Just do any sort of transaction fee. I don't think it makes any sense.
I don't know enough about it. I think we need 6 months of data to even try to extrapolate what it's going to be in the future.
Right.
17% sounds really high to me. Is that just
Really
me?
high.
Like,
I don't know enough
I
about
guess
that.
because that's annualized, it comes up to that much, or
Yeah, so I can tell you the math, and I find there's a lot of holes in it. So what they said is that MasterCard on average will take around 3% of the total transaction value of the payment. And then they assume that 2/3 of that, or 66% of the deal, will go to Galileo and the banks, right? So SoFi will receive 66% of that, and a third of that will go to MasterCard. And then so if you're doing that every 6 weeks, then your 2% out of the 3 over the amount of times annualized will be 17.33%.
Well, like you
But
said, that's assuming
that
that
everyone's
somebody's
bringing
going to
that.
roll it over every 6 months. I mean, how many things are you buying every 6 weeks? I'm sorry, 6 weeks. How many things are you buying every 6 weeks that you're going to do that with?
Underwear.
Yeah, but you're not even allowed using it for underwear for the most part. Like, you must be wearing some nice cashmere underwear. You're buying $50 bulk purchases or $500 bulk purchases, excuse me,
Bro,
every 6 weeks.
I get Dividend Streams brand underwear. It's better than Ralph Lauren. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah,
that's some top quality merch.
That is okay. I want to segue to what's becoming a weekly segment now. We kind of have to do. Apparently, the chat just told me that Robinhood is offering 4%.
Yeah,
on
SoFi raised it to 3.5 as well, by the way.
Yeah, I saw, and I just looked at my phone and I saw my Robinhood's now 4%. So how do we feel about SoFi getting up to 3.5? Do we feel good about this? Do we feel like they're doing a little bit too much? Can
Isn't
they afford
it
this?
the exact same argument, like Robinhood minus fee versus SoFi?
Yeah, it's the same ratio, right? So they went up 0.25, we went up 0.25. It's the same conversation, really. I mean, they have a fee, we don't, and yeah, I don't think it matters. I think at this point, it's just one big interest rate race. And once someone switches over to direct deposit, are they really going to every Fed meeting? They're going to change to who's the highest with their direct. Like, I don't know. It just seems so silly. Oh, they're offering me 0.25% more. So I'm going to go over there. Oh, they're offering me 0.1 more. It's like there's so many. I mean, you're probably just going to pick one and stay there for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to circle back to the original conversation around the high APY in general for savings, is they're just raising more money, and the more money that they raise, the more money that they can use to make more profits, right?
That's true. We got TJ in the chat saying that after assignments day, I'm officially over 325,000 shares of SoFi. Last time I interviewed him, he had 200,000. So we might have to do an update, TJ, on that interview. Sheesh. It's a lot of shares. Okay.
Steven, don't think I didn't see that, posting, calling me geeky and I'm a nerd and all this stuff. So, I mean, come on.
Talking to me?
No, not you. The
TJ. He's talking to TJ.
Sorry, TJ. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
TJ was calling me all these names in a good way. I mean, he was being funny, but yeah.
I've actually been watching your videos this week, Tanner. Like you post and I click on it and then I actually watch them, and your videos are actually really good. Like it's actually good stuff. It's like edited and all this shit. It's like highly entertaining. You have all this fucking info. And because I don't watch that much YouTube, like your videos pop up and I start clicking on them and watching. I was like, this is good. So shout out to Tanner and his YouTube channel, because the nerdiness actually translates to really fucking good information on your videos.
Yeah. So what did I don't know who's seen it here and who hasn't, but what did you guys think about sort of that take on how we're maybe not going bankrupt? I mean, even Chris Patel, I didn't even tell him, but he made a little bit of a, I tried.
Do we want to just play that video? Yo, can we just play that video? It's only 5 minutes. You want to just play it?
You want to play a 6-minute video in this thing?
I mean, we have 35 minutes left of airtime. We only have one more topic. We might as well. Steven, you haven't seen it. Tevis, you haven't seen it, right? All right, that's perfect. Let's play it. Let's play it.
Go ahead. Go right ahead. I don't mind.
Because I saw Chris was in it, so Chris will enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a very clickbaity title, but it's a good title.
Chris is in the chat.
Yeah.
Yo, Darth Chris is talking about buying Credit Suisse.
Okay, get him on right now, please.
Hold on, look at what he said. He said Credit Suisse is trading at a price to book of 0.18, so it's a better buy than SoFi. Yeah, right here. This is what he said. Risk to reward is way better. You're saying risk to reward with one of the most legacy bank institutions that has been around for I don't know how many years now is better than a growth stock like SoFi.
I hope he's talking about gold bars.
Wasn't it also Chris who in the last pod he was just like book value tells a story of the market sentiment of a company. If it's trading at a cheap book, then the market doesn't see like a solid positive future for it, and that's priced in. Like, doesn't that argument also apply for Credit Suisse on their book value?
That could be. Yeah, that could be.
I have to look more into their financials before I really say anything.
All right, let's watch our boy. This is his channel, by the way. If you guys haven't subscribed, please do. Here we go. Okay, starting it now.
Wait, is this Tanner's video?
Global regulatory body that is governing almost all the banks across the world. They're called the Basel Committee on Banking Standards, or BCBS. With the help to strengthen regulations, supervision, and risk management in banks, it's so important that they were able to step in during the 2008 financial crisis, because after that happened, they set in something new, the Basel III Accord. This was introduced to improve the bank ability to actually absorb shock if there was to be some sort of large financial stress because of global meltdown or something along these lines. There were other added things with transparency and disclosure, but that's all boring banking stuff. What's most important is that banks are being monitored better than ever now, and this is not just in the United States. This is across 27 different countries all across the world. But there are 3 main principles in the Basel III Accord. 1, minimal capital requirements. 2, leverage ratios. And 3, liquidity requirements. But for this video, we're going to be exclusively focusing on the first principle, which by far is the most important. When it comes to minimum capital requirements, what they're referring to is Tier 1 capital, or CET1. Well, that's a little bit of a lie. It's actually in reference to a capital adequacy ratio. It's calculated by dividing a bank's total capital versus its risk-weighted assets. But you don't have to remember all this. For the most part, let's just simplify it down into Tier 1 capital, as this is by far the largest part of the equation. And it's also the highest quality of regulatory capital that central banks look at whenever they're going to judge risk management from a bank's perspective, like SoFi. But back to the good stuff. As the Basel Committee actually set the minimum requirement for a Tier 1 capital ratio, which was previously, before 2008, at 2%, is now at actually 7%. So much more restrictive whenever it comes to the amount of capital that they have to have on hand. Anything above 7% is considered well capitalized for a bank to be able to handle a large amount of defaults, for example. And due to a lot of bear opinions and low stock prices getting people really concerned, I wanted to share what the central bank thinks of SoFi in general as being risky whenever it comes to defaults coming for their personal loan segment, for example. Because who knows, if our Tier 1 capital is low and the ratio is below that 7%, then we could definitely be at a chance of default here. But whenever you dive into SoFi's financial statement, you can see that their CET1 is a little bit different than you would imagine at 16.4%, much safer than the 7% requirement that would consider us a well-capitalized bank. But that's just a regulatory requirement. I mean, what are we actually doing compared to the competitors to actually see if like we're well capitalized. And just looking here at the biggest banks in America, we can see that we are second place to only TD Bank. Adding these all up, you can see that the average for all of these banks is 11.7% on a CET1 ratio. Even looking at Warren Buffett's golden child fintech, right, Ally Financial, whenever we look at their CET1 ratio, you could see it's only at 9.3%. Now, according to the central banks that actually set this metric, they are still very safe, but comparatively to SoFi, it is much more risky than we actually give them credit for. Now, they're doing this because they want to grow even faster. Now, for the riskier companies, it should be lower because they're trying to take more risks versus a TD Bank or something like this that's so established they don't even need to right now, especially if they're considering a worse time ahead. They're going to be more safe right now if we are in, let's say, a doom and gloom area. Now, I'll give it credit. I'd be lying to say that SoFi's, tier 1 capital ratio is not going to go down over time, right? This is also because we just more recently became a bank, and so we still have probably a little bit more room to drop down. But whenever you put it into a perspective of a bank that's been there, very much the same size as us, but yet, had the bank charter even longer, you look at Lending Club, for example, they're still at 15.2% on a CET1 ratio. Remember that the ratio being high can actually slow growth going forward. So we don't necessarily want that, as we don't want to be conservative because we're still very much a growth company. This is exactly what Ally Financial understands because they still want to grow, right? They're still in the growth stages. However, even whenever you compare that to SoFi, right, we're even beating them in that area as well, growing much faster than them. So who knows? I mean, the Bears will be back with more arguments. Don't worry about that. But as long as we keep our capital ratios in good standings, I'm going to have to trust the 450-member board that are setting the worldwide standard for banking going forward. So just as I was finishing up everything for this video, I just wanted to jump in because Anthony Noto just purchased an additional 1.1 million shares of SoFi over the past 4 days. That accounts for over $5 million worth of SoFi shares that he has just purchased in the last couple days. And some additional clarity as well, that actually increases his total SoFi position by over 25%. But that's his own ownership, not the ownership of the actual company. He actually owns a very small portion of the company. But this is not just chump change for Noto where he can just run around spending $5 million here and there. If you actually look at Anthony Noto's salary in the past year, it was $1.42 million. Now, this is not including stock options because why would it, right? Why would anyone actually be, selling their SoFi shares to buy more SoFi shares? It doesn't make any sense. And plus, going through his actual disclosures, he has not been doing that at all. But out of this 1.4 million that he makes every year, he's actually based out in California, which means he pays a 48.4% tax rate, meaning he only really takes home $732,000. So after he pays for all of his daily expenses, then afterwards he can actually accumulate enough to start making SoFi purchases. And obviously he hasn't been.
That was a good point, by the way. I thought that was one of the best points of the video. Like, I forgot he's in Cali. I mean, he doesn't make that much. He's not making 30, 40 million a year. So a $5 million purchase is actually a sizable amount from him. Like maybe he sold a lot of Twitter, but that is a lot for him.
Waiting like 6 years to make this purchase only through salary. I mean, he's a wealthy man before SoFi even happened, right? Through Twitter or even Goldman Sachs. But this being said, it's still a massive purchase and a great show of confidence for SoFi. Chris Patel, a noted SoFi bear, said it best on our last SoFi Weekly podcast.
Guy like Anthony Noto, who I'm telling you, this guy is buying a ton of shares. Like CEOs buying shares of their own company is a very healthy sign. That is the biggest form of shareholder alignment that you could possibly get.
So I just thought I'd add this extra insight because this is a massive purchase from Anthony, and I'm so excited to see it. There's also been so many little tiny details that I've been wanting to talk about, which I absolutely put a video out there that kind of conglomerates all those ideas. If you could like this.
Make sure to like it, subscribe. That was a great fucking video. Tanner, you're muted. Everyone's muted. Let me unmute you guys.
I fucking love that. You just
That was
did Chris
great
dirty
editing,
in
bro.
that last slide.
Yeah, you put the
Thank
most
you.
bullish
Thank
things
you.
I'd say in there.
And I love how you call him Anthony, like you guys are like close personal friends. Like Anthony bought 5 million shares. Like what? It's Mr. Noto, mofo.
Next thing he's going to start calling him
Not a
T-Bone.
chance.
Yeah, Tony.
Tony just purchased some shares.
Yeah.
Steven, what was your reaction to that video, especially the interest rates thing and keeping it with
Yeah,
zero?
I think it was very interesting. Tanner always hits the good math points.
No, but I mean,
Cool.
like, I do think that's something that I wanted to talk about because you know what, you can say that there might be a large amount of risk, but then whenever we actually look at the numbers, these regulators in federal banks or central banks do not agree with you. You know what I mean? They think it used to be 2%. Now it's 7%. Like that is a massive difference. And we're at 16%. We're not even near where they think that our risk is actually going to be, nipping us in the butt, so who knows?
I think it's something we need to revisit in a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris says he's about to claim copyright on your video.
Yeah. Well, you
So,
did it on the
Chris-
SoFi Weekly, so unfortunately, I don't think you have much.
Chris, at some point, you're going to have to walk us through this whole Credit Suisse idea because their income statement and their balance sheet tell two completely different stories. And while it trades at a very deep discount to book, there are things that are outright scary. So we will have to do a separate podcast.
Chris just probably got a random idea today. He was looking at some stupid note. He's like, "Oh, Credit Suisse, that's another bear argument against SoFi." And he put it in the chat. Like that's literally what happened, bro. That's right. He's up. You guys want to see some gain porn right now? He sent me this picture today.
I think we were talking about demonetization before this, but
let me switch to my good camera real quick. This is why Chris is getting so cocky about the SoFi shit. This is the one reason why he's getting so cocky about this. Okay.
Look at this guy.
Oh, look at this guy.
Meet
This is
Kevin
what
up
Chris
in
sends me this morning.
I can't see that.
It's
I
still
can't see very well.
Just read us the
Second.
numbers. What it's
okay. There we go.
73,000, 72,000.
He's up 10,000 on his meta calls, and he thinks he's the smartest guy in the world. And so now he's talking shit about.
Okay.
About
All right.
I'm gonna just leave this camera on because it looks nice.
I know you are, Chris. I love you, buddy. I thought it was funny that out of everything that he said during that podcast, I took the most bullish thing and put it in my video. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for showing my entire video.
Yeah.
Not skipping
you're
through
welcome.
anything.
Yeah, can we do one of mine next? Like, what the fuck? Man?
Do you have a short 5-minute video?
No, mine are not that entertaining, dude. Tanner has like a whole, like he has a music soundtrack underlaid, and it's mine are just.
Tanner, how long does it take you to edit one of those videos? Like a couple days?
0 time at all. I send it through Google Drive to my editor, and he takes over from there.
How much does he charge to edit the whole video front to back?
I'm not gonna say. But there's a big difference between, you'll see whenever I edit and whenever he edits, because they're very, very different styles. And I love his work. And
does he live in the US or does he live somewhere else?
I'm not gonna say.
Okay, he's definitely living.
We'll talk
else.
after.
Tanner's paying him slave wages right now.
Yeah, man,
50 cents an hour to fucking edit.
What are you
It's
talking
okay,
about?
hey, man. You gotta do.
Watch one of Tanner's videos and then watch one of mine, and then tell me if you can tell that I edit my own videos. They look like shit.
Yeah, your videos are long. I don't get through many of your videos. They're like 19 minutes long on average. I'm like, holy, it's dense. You know,
Yeah,
I don't find people have the attention span for it. So sometimes, one person said like, this video's on Adderall. I'm like, it's the only way people watch. I'm telling you.
You
I
had like
even take that
3
video and I want
zooms
them-
into your face in one sentence. You're like, the SoFi is.
Dude, I was getting anxious. Like it just kept zooming.
Amit,
Yeah.
before we get into the Galileo techniques, can you put up the picture I sent you?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Let's stay on what I am predicting Tanner is going to call him T-Bone at some point in the next 6 weeks.
Well,
Yeah, let me
you know
pull it
what?
up right
You wrote your article or whatever, and you threw up the Tanner Manson charts. No reference of my name.
What do you mean?
He stole your charts?
No. They were his charts, but he said on one of the SoFi Weeklies, the one that I actually hosted, he was talking about.
Oh
I need
yeah,
a
I
reference for
did
that."
make. So I did make them for you, and I did say that on the channel, and I'll say it again that I made them because Tanner gave me the idea. So I said I would track it for everybody. So
Yeah,
Chris,
no.
so Darth Chris had asked or made a statement that was very good, and said that somebody should do a bio on Noto to show what type of an operator he is. So I
You
clipped
zoom
this
Noto?
from LinkedIn so everybody could see his career. In addition to going to West Point and serving in the armed forces and doing his MBA at Wharton, this guy spent 13 years or so in different positions at Goldman. He was a CFO at the NFL. He was the CFO, the COO at Twitter, and is now the CEO of SoFi. So that's a very condensed, there's a lot of information on the deals he worked on at Goldman and what he actually did there on the internet. His interview at Stanford was probably one of the best CEO interviews I've ever listened to. I sent it to a couple of people. I think Chris listened to it, and Tanner and the guys. And, this is, if you're going to back somebody and you're going to believe in somebody to execute and get the job done, I don't think you can get a better resume than what we're looking at right here.
Yeah, honestly,
I would agree.
he's a true champion, and I've said this. If you've seen any of his podcasts, Who Dares Wins, which even the name
It's
kind of
good.
tells you what he's about. I mean, he's a military man through and through, and in everything in life, from sports to his careers to work to everything, he just tries to win. Even his son is, taking that to an extreme as well. I mean, he's just a robot whenever it comes to work. And I mean, I'm sure it's a boring life, but as an investor, I love it. Like, same thing with Elon. I just find it's a sacrifice for humanity, and good for you.
Interestingly, since you brought that up, I found the duality of this week really interesting, where Elon was like selling a huge chunk, and then Noto comes in and buys a huge chunk. I don't know. I just found it really interesting since they happened like a day apart from each other, and it was just like that much more reinforcing of all of these CEOs who are like, you sell for a lot of reasons, you only buy for one reason, right? Just to echo what you said earlier. I think that like Noto buying, especially that big amount, that far in between with a 6-month sort of hiatus, was such a strong reassurance to all the SoFi bulls. It sent a very clear message, at least that's how I interpreted it, especially because it was on the same week that Elon sold when he said he wasn't going to sell and all that.
Yeah, but let's not forget, let's give Elon some leeway and come some slack. I've been very critical of Tesla in the past, and I'll just say it. You don't know why he sold, and the speculation is...
Yeah, we do know why he sold. What do you mean we don't know why? He literally sold 3.6 billion, which is as much debt.
He was probably forced to, because he probably had a mortgage.
So what do you mean we don't know why he sold? That's why he sold.
The margin
He
for
did not
Twitter.
say it, did he?
I mean, it's not confirmed, but if you look at the
Exactly.
amount of equity loan on Twitter, it's literally
Okay,
3.5 billion. He sold 3.8 billion.
It's logical, but it's still speculation.
What else would he do with the money? I guess is my question.
I'm
What
just
does he need
saying,
3.8 billion
unless he says it, it's speculation. But he probably got forced into that sale, so I wouldn't read too much into it. Now, if he's allocating his time the way shareholders want, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But Noto's all in on SoFi. He's not doing other things, and that's from being an executor and being a leader and being somebody that's going to be the driving force behind the company on an operations side. It's what you want to say.
I'm kind of curious to learn how much of Twitter Noto still owns, or if he cashed out completely. Because, I think that would also be interesting as well, because he had such a huge chunk of Twitter. And, I think from a public portfolio perspective, it's like 90-something% SoFi.
You should get Greta to tweet him and ask. Maybe he'll respond.
Yeah, I mean, she knows, or he knows what buttons to push. But also interesting, the second thing would be to see if it signals us to any other upcoming buys that are coming. Because if he cashed out completely, that's a ton of money that he can funnel into SoFi.
You want to get into the Galileo stuff?
Yeah, so Galileo and Technisys, these are or Technisys, however you say it, is this is the stuff. This is SoFi bought Galileo in 2020. That is their sort of AWS of fintech play. They are redefining the digital banking customer experience with Cyberbank Digital as a service. Now, they launched Cyberbank a while ago. Now they are launching it kind of as a service, I guess, as a more standalone product. Cyberbank Digital is a robust end-to-end solution that empowers financial institutions and fintechs to create and deliver exceptional customer-first journeys with the option to integrate conversational AI capabilities and a lot of other things. This is kind of what they're going for with launching it now as a service. So I guess, Tanner, we'll start with you. Any thoughts on this?
No, I mean, we already covered this, right? This is just a reissuing of a PR thing that they're doing. This is the same product. It's just, a Twitter thing that they put out. There's nothing new. I mean, we're going to be able to offer the cloud banking services that we can offer these banks, fintechs. The CFO, Chris Lapointe, just said that they're in huge talks with consumer platforms, whatever that means. Maybe that even means Shopify or something like this, or maybe not that big, but maybe, larger consumer platforms, or even they even said large institutions, some of the big top 10 guys. So if we get even one of those clients, that would double the market cap of the current clients that we already have. Like this is something that I cover all the time, but it's like, we don't need a new product. We just need one of these clients to take us on with a world first product. No one has the offering that Technesis and Galileo have together. No one on earth. I'll let you go around, try to find it and add in a bank charter while you're at it. I mean, this is an awesome product, but it's months old. And I'm sure we're just at a point like Palantir is, where we're just trying to sell it now. Let's just get the people out there. And the problem with it being a B2B sort of product is that we just don't hear much about it until the contracts are already signed.
Fair. Steven, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can sit here and echo what Tanner said, but I'm going to go in a different direction. I agree with everything he said. I think it's going to take 3 years or longer to really recognize the synergies and the benefits from it. And you need Galileo to cross-sell this, and you need Technesis to get some regional banks, thrift banks, and maybe some larger banks onto the Cyberbank platform. And there is such a huge runway for opportunity in this. And you got to remember, when they are in the boardroom and their potential clients are looking at them to transition to their platforms, it's a huge synergy between these two companies. And it's going to take some time to really see this ramp up, but the opportunity is huge. So I'm bullish on it, but I think it's going to take a lot of time to really recognize the synergies. And there is a chance that the cost savings is going to be more beneficial up front for SoFi before this materializes into tremendous amounts of revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it's going to take some time before it recognizes into tremendous amounts of revenue. But I think the time before that ball gets rolling is much shorter. I mean, I think Anthony Noto in the City FinTech conference around the same time when this was released, he was already saying that we have a couple of legacy banks that we're in advanced talks with to provide these back-end services for. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, with the implication that in 23, we'd be seeing some big legacy players leveraging Galileo. And so that might not be, having one legacy bank on Galileo is not like a total game changer for SoFi from a revenue perspective, but from the narrative, then that really starts the ball rolling from that whole like AWS of fintech aspect.
The only thing I don't like about that is, you know what? If you find a product that's brand new and you can say why the features are different than the competitors, that's real, But from Anthony Noto and Chris Lapointe saying, you know what, our product is better than anyone else's and our pricing is good, and it's a matter of if or when, not if. It's like, name me a CEO that says we're not going to take over the world. You know what I mean? Like, they all say their product is going to revolutionize everything. And until we start seeing the papers get signed, I mean, it's just a statement. You know what I mean?
Guys, there's a great comment in there. I think we should all answer it. Would we stay shareholders if Noto resigns?
I was just about to bring that up. I agree.
I think it depends why he resigns and who replaces him and what that vision is. I think that obviously the operation is flowing right now. SoFi is growing very rapidly, but that underlying vision is a very important aspect of that long-term bull case. And that vision is perpetrated further by Noto. And so if there's, some sudden resignation or something that happens that might change that bull case, that's going to affect the answer. And depending on who replaces him, that's also going to affect the answer. Basically, that vision is going to change. And as a result of that, the bull case is going to change.
Yeah, I think, You know what? I think Anthony Noto is a massive driving force for SoFi. And I think a big part of my investing strategy is, follow the leader sort of thing. Like I love a very strong founder, especially if it's a founder rather than a CEO. But in this case, it's a CEO. But I mean, honestly, it's one of those fake sort of things. Like he would have to literally pass away for him to be out of this company rather than leave. I mean, he just bought 5 million new shares. He's not leaving tomorrow. Or sorry, 1.1 million, $5 million.
No, but if he did, say he
yeah,
walked away, would you stay a shareholder?
Yes, it would be a case of the growth numbers. If it continues to grow through that time, I definitely wouldn't add between that quarter and the next. That's for sure. But I mean, I think SoFi's gotten to a point where, you know what, it's going to start leading itself, I think. And same thing with Tesla. I think if Elon leaves, I think Tesla's gotten to a point where I don't even know if we need him.
Yeah.
You think if Elon leaves, or actually, Steven, go ahead. Respond.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think if Elon leaves, Tesla's done. Like, because it's 53% retail. You think retail is just gonna willy-nilly have some boring ass
CEO? The company, not the stock.
No. But I've made a very logical argument here. If 50% of your shareholder base is retail, you don't think they're gonna dump it if their cult member leaves? You don't think that's gonna hurt the stock?
I think me and you look at stocks a little bit differently. I don't like
Yeah, but Tanner, you're a very educated retail investor. You're a smart guy.
I would say Jack Bogle said it the best. The stock market is a distraction to investing. And
most retail investors don't know who the fuck Jack Bogle is. That's my point.
Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay?
I know who he is, but you know what I'm saying? Like
what I'm saying,
if Noto's gone, this thing is like
all right.
But it doesn't matter what the short-term price of the stock is. Will the company be negatively affected? And I don't think so, because you know what? The next car that you're going to buy, if you know that the quality of a Tesla is there, people are not choosing it because of Elon. They're choosing because of the product.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
1,000%. You don't think
5 years ago I would have agreed with
Tesla spends $0 on advertising.
This is going to be a rabbit hole. We need to do dedicated episode on Tesla next week, right here.
We can't. No, we can't. But my point is, if Tesla spends $0 on advertising, what do you think gets people into the door? Just answer me that. What if people don't know about a car because they don't get any ads in front of them? How do they go into a Tesla store?
Because their brother, sister, mother, brother owns a Tesla.
How did they figure out about Tesla?
Well, I'm sure at some point it's Elon, but I'm saying now is the point where it's no longer Elon.
Tesla what, man? The new CEO comes in and he starts implementing marketing and ads. Like, I don't understand the point.
But so you think them marketing like a regular car company with fucking beers and girls in the bar?
Let's not forget, Elon can sell anything because he does have a cult following. The guy was selling flamethrowers, so keep that in mind.
And the more polarizing he is, the more he's going to attract attention, regardless of if it's positive or negative first. But I think that there is this inverse relationship, right? Like a founder like Elon is so much more influential in the early stages than what Tesla is right now, like a double-digit billion-dollar per quarter profitable
Tevis,
company.
The problem with your argument is...
Look, one more thing. Hold on. One more thing. The more he goes into this Twitter rabbit hole with this whole very polarizing sort of statements, the more people are going to detach Elon, the personality, with Tesla. And so I think that him selling, he sold for a couple of reasons, but him selling what he did this week, it pissed a lot of retail investors off on Tesla. Tesla's share price is going to slide. I agree with you. If whatever happens to him, let's say he quits tomorrow, Tesla might fall 30% in a day. It might, but the company will be fine.
No, I disagree with you, because there are people, especially people on this stream, that do not think Tesla should even be anywhere near a $500 billion market cap. So to say that the company is fine when most people don't even think it's worth.
Let's do a full episode.
But that's my point. I feel like Elon's holding up like $300 billion of market cap because the guy wiped out $300 billion of market cap in the past 2 months.
Amit, did I make you change your mind? Did I make you come over to the dark side on Tesla?
No, I'm bullish Tesla because Elon's there. If Elon's not there, I'm not buying that stock. You guys are crazy. Like, who the fuck is buying Tesla?
You know why I'm bullish on Tesla? Because it's the best car on the market right now. It has
that has nothing to do with the stock. at all.
That's an opinion, sir.
It
Cannot be
is.
quantified.
So, Steven, what's your
the
answer?
opinion-
If Noto quit, would you like where do you
I
stand on
would
that?
I would not sell my shares because I think the groundwork has already been laid in place. I think all the components are there, and it would depend who takes over. And if the investment case changes, I would want to stay in for a couple of quarters. Noto is definitely a reason why I invested, but I also think SoFi is the future of banking. And for me, regardless of who is at the helm, if the end game strategy doesn't change, I still don't see people that are 12 to 18 going to traditional banks in a couple of years the way that we did. I don't see it. And it all comes back to that demographic. I don't see them going to a JP Morgan Chase or a Bank of America. You have 14-year-olds that know life as instant gratification. They have never experienced not having a cell phone glued to their hand or a tablet glued to their hands. I just think the chances of them using a traditional bank is a lot lower than us.
100%. I think honestly,
uncomfortable.
I think the big players right now for at least the future of investing is obviously Cash App. I think they're by far number one, and I think they'll continue to be. And then also Robinhood, I think, has that same sort of big grasp on retail traders, and then SoFi is also in that mix as well. And I think a big part, which is so funny, is SoFi Stadium gives such a great name to SoFi in general, even though it has nothing to do with the company. I think it's a great brand
What do we
awareness
think
tool.
we're going to see member-wise come February 1st? I'm speculating that that's going to be the earnings call.
Yeah, so 450 to 500,000. That's what they're benchmarking it at. And so
You think we're going to be at 5.2, 5.3?
Sure enough, yeah. Yeah. If you actually look at the website traffic, we continue to go up. We continue to go up, especially there's certain apps like I saw Tip Ranks. I think they had some sort of weird thing with the mobile tracking. I don't know if that's a privacy issue. It's definitely, we definitely didn't reduce 90% of our mobile traffic and then continue to hit, the same amount of members that we were expecting to hit. So the one that seems to be trackable and honest to look at is the desktop traffic, and that continues to hit higher highs. Chris in the chat is really wanting Amit to look at the chief marketing officer.
Lauren Stafford Webb. Who's this?
Yeah, so if you want to find her, you can just go to my Twitter account and go to my likes on my most recent tweet, and you can find her in there. So
I found her on Google.
We know what Tanner's been doing.
Tanner, you have a girl. You can't do this stuff, man.
Yeah.
This
okay,
is
what are we doing?
What
are we doing right now?
This is like the weirdest pod we've had.
Yeah, this is just
on their own time, man.
Yeah.
Interesting. So she's the CMO of SoFi.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and can I say she's been killing it from a marketing perspective on SoFi. They have some amazing campaigns. So
interesting.
I mean, why are we not talking about Liz Strat?
Her too.
She's also
at the end of the day, she is on CNBC all the time, and she is bringing a lot of attention to SoFi, and that is huge. I want to see her more on Bloomberg, but
okay. I think that's us. I think that's done. This is a great pod.
Great pod.
We gotta. Imagine we did this drunk once.
Yeah, I'm feeling like Riley is the glue to all of this because
we
sat here and watched an entire video.
It was a good video. It was 5 minutes. It wasn't that bad.
I want to know what night we're doing Tesla.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
We should have a Christmas special. Is Tesla overvalued? Christmas special. That actually would get some. Some people would tune into that one. We should do it on Christmas.
2.5 hour
I don't know if you're free on Christmas.
Get ready.
Maybe Christmas Eve, maybe
around Christmas area, sure. Not on Christmas.
What are you doing better that's on Christmas?
I gotta what?
Like, what do you guys really do on Christmas, bro? Like no one really does anything on Christmas, bro. You don't
I open up my presents and then I try my new Xbox games.
You still get presents? Your parents actually get you stuff?
No.
I don't get presents.
But that's what I used to do. Like 15 years ago. I couldn't wait to get video games and then go and play them the same day and then go out for dinner, you know?
All right. Any last words before we tune out? Steve and I apologize in advance for how much of a shit show this pod was.
It's okay. There wasn't
Yeah.
that much SoFi news. We had to fill the time. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we need to see a couple more quarters, and don't be surprised if SoFi goes down further. Don't be surprised if the market goes down further. This is not an overnight play, and you shouldn't be investing if you don't have a long-term outlook unless you are a strict trader. And I think everybody needs to be true to why they're investing. You know, for me, this is a long-term play. I believe in the company and I believe what they're going to accomplish, but I could be wrong.
Chris is asking
Yeah.
me to look up Cameron Dawson. I'm going to do it real
All right.
quick.
That was a
No.
perfect,
Your own time, man.
That
that was
Do
a
that
perfect
on your own time.
ending. I mean,
Hold on, we got to
just-
see who Cameron
just
Dawson
leave
is.
it.
Real quick. I don't know why Chris is sending all these women in the chat, bro. Chris is
Dude.
feeling some type of way tonight. Okay, this is Cameron Dawson.
Chris clearly has a
I-
type.
Steven,
has
do
a
you
type.
mind if I make like just a little parody video of you saying at the end of the day consistently and all the different takes that we've done in all the podcasts? Because I swear, I have the same thing. I say, like it's ridiculous. If you took a shot for every time I said, you guys would be passed out by now. But Steve, at the end of the day, the same cadence and everything, every time at the end of the day,
End of the
Oh, man,
day,
it's great.
Tesla's overvalued. At the end of the day, SoFi's going to
Yeah.
the moon. All right, we got to end it. I got to do Palantir. So, can you do Palantir, Steven? Yes.
Yeah,
I got
sure.
you. All right,
After this horrendous showing, I'm not
Bye,
surprised he doesn't
everybody.
want to do it.
No, he's gonna do it. Bye,
All right,
everybody.
everybody.
See you next week.
I got
See you guys later.